Did I do it right? This don't look right. I'm doing something wrong. I figured. From Denver. How's the weather in Denver, Ann? Is it hot? Because it's hot here. It's terrible. Yeah, this is not what I wanted, but what are you going to do? I'm using my laptop and I don't like it. Uh, oh well. It is what it is. We'll get used to it. It just looks real blurry. Let me see if I can fix this. It's probably no different. Oh, well, next time I'll try and use my phone, but I wanted to be able to read the comments. So this time I decided to use my laptop and I'm going to be able to read the comments. From Iowa. Where in Iowa? Anywhere near Council Bluffs? Because we used to go to Council Bluffs all the time when I lived in Omaha. And then where did my mom live? She lived in Harlan, Iowa. So Des Moines. Oh, okay. See, I like the Midwest. I grew up in Omaha. I'm always going to be in love with the Midwest. I still have a lot of family back there too. It's just, I don't know. It's a different vibe. I enjoy it. From New Jersey. Hi, Deb. That's a totally different vibe. You know, I did live on the East Coast. We lived in Philadelphia and, but we lived in like the really bad part of Philadelphia. I don't know if there is a good part. I'm assuming there must be. From Omaha. You are? When did you, I think we talked about that before, didn't you? You're familiar with Millard because that's where I actually went to school in Omaha. It was, you know, a little town right outside of Omaha. And I think you said something about the Millard Library. Was that correct? Or am I thinking of somebody else? But like I said, I love the Midwest. Even though I live in California, I'm a Midwestern at heart. I'll always have a soft spot for the Midwest. I still think of that as home. Even though I've lived here for 40 something years, I always think of the Midwest as my home. You know what I mean? But oh, here we go. Now I can see you guys on my phone. But yeah, I hadn't done a live in a while. And, you know, we're dealing with the summer slump on YouTube. And it's not just me because a lot of other content creators that I'm watching, Millard Library. Okay. Isn't that crazy? What a small world. Yeah. That's where I went to school. Oh, really? Yeah. I like to vacation in Dana Point. That's my favorite beach. I love to go down there. We like Doheny State Beach for camping. It's fabulous. Love that area. It's just, it always feels so good to go down there, except for the traffic. If I could skip the traffic and just be teleported there, that would be heaven. But yeah, like I was saying about the summer slump, I noticed quite a few other content creators are dealing with it too. And it's normal. Everybody's out doing things, living their life, which we should be, right, in the summer. And not as many people are watching YouTube. And so it's slow. And that's why I've been doing things trying to get through. And that's why you guys have seen me do a few sponsored videos or whatever. I've only done 4, but it was enough to help me through this time because they send you the product, and then you have to talk about it. And you get to keep the product after you're done. And you can do whatever you want. If you want to sell it, whatever, make some money off of it. But then they also will pay you if you do another video after the first sponsored video. Then I get like 200 to 300 a video. So it's been helpful. Yes, I have. Carmel by the Sea. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's heavenly up there, but it's expensive. When people think California's expensive, that's why it's places like that. But it's worth it. Hi, Simply Blue. Well, thank you. I haven't done, it's been a while since I've done a live. As a matter of fact, the last time I did a live was in this room. This was my old studio, but now I've just made it the kids' room for the summer. So I had to kind of move things in here just so I could, do a video because I like the light from the front window, the natural light. But on my laptop, it doesn't look that great. But actually, the lighting in here is better. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to get through the summer slump right now. Hi, crazy cat lady. That's going to be me. I'm the crazy cat lady. I love that name, except I don't have a cat anymore. Although, you guys, I have adopted 4 cats, but they're just outdoor cats right now. We had a mama and a daddy cat. Obviously, the mama was pregnant when she had her babies. She only had 2 that I know of because she only brings 2 around, and she won't let us pet her or anything. But we feed her every day. I leave water out, and I put like a pillow out for them to lay on in the shade and stuff. And they come every day, every day. I think they're living in the backyard behind one of the bushes. So that's nice. At least I have something because, I miss Jazz. And so, yeah, back to, dealing with the summer slump. Even though there's a summer slump on YouTube, people are busy living their lives. Me too. I've been doing things you guys know. I haven't just been doing YouTube. I haven't been doing Uber at all, but that's okay. I'm surviving because of these sponsored videos that they're helping me. I won't be doing them all year long, but I needed to do them to get through the summer. I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. And the white one in my picture, I had to put him. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so hard to do, isn't it? That's so difficult. It's like, yeah, they're our family. I mean, people ask me all the time, are you going to get another cat besides the ones I've adopted in the backyard? I can't replace Jazz. I could never replace him. He was, like one of my kids, you know what I mean? I loved him so much and I'm not ready yet. I still have a big hole in my heart from him. So I need to heal from that before I take another cat in because, I will fall head over heels in love with this next cat, I'm sure, just like I did with Jazz. So I'm waiting a while. But I definitely will get another one. My husband and I both miss him so much. But so yeah, we're looking, just to get through the summer. Actually, summer for us, summer's over when the kids go back to school. They go back to school at the beginning of next month. And this is, what is this, the 10th? So I think we barely have 4 weeks left of summer. And for all practical purposes, I know not on the calendar, it'll still be summer. But once the kids go back to school and stuff, it doesn't feel like summer anymore. Hi, Jana. Good to hear from you. Hi, Carol. You too. Gosh, thank you guys for being here. I wasn't sure because, I made it like an impromptu thing, but I thought I need to get on here and talk to you guys. There's so much. It's the night, I lose track of time at this age, but I just wanted to get caught up with everybody and let you know how things are going. That the video that I did today, it was a sponsored video, and I had to make a post because I received several comments on it. I think people thought I actually bought a scooter and I'm just going to use a scooter, and it's like, no, the video, kids here go back at the end of August. That's when we used to. That's normal to me. But nope, out here they get out early and they go back to school early. So, but anyway, yeah, today's video, I wasn't advocating for healthy, able-bodied people to use a mobility scooter. I was asking, when will you know it's time? Because a lot of my friends in my age group and even relatives have various health issues that keep them from doing as much as they would like, but they refuse to get a mobility scooter or walk or anything that will help them because it'll make them look old. So rather than go out and live their life, they're going to stay home and sit on the couch. And it's like, I get that because I'm that way too, to some degree, but you have to decide at what point is your ego not as important as actually living your life. I think a lot of us face that at some point in time. Now, I did need a mobility scooter, a while back when I had my knee injury. I could have used it. I would have gotten out. But no, I stayed home and sat on the couch and got fat because I was too embarrassed to walk around with the cane. You know what I mean? If I'd had that mobility scooter, there would have been no hold me back. I would have been out a lot more and doing things. So I advocate for people that need them to use them, but I don't advocate for able-bodied people to use them rather than walk. Walking is definitely, first priority. Pimp it out, it. That's what I want to do. And it's fun. You guys know, with both I got that e-trike and now I got the mobility scooter. My kids have races on them out in the street. It's hilarious. And they were saying, Nana, we need to put some like stickers and lights and flags and stuff on here and make it fun. So I'm going to do that for sure. And yeah, we just all have fun. My husband's like a big kid. For him, he loves the toys. So we've been riding him around. Like I said, they sent them to me. I didn't have to purchase them. So that was such a blessing. I'm really grateful. And right now, I had thought, I wanted to sell them to make up the money that I'm not making doing Uber or, YouTube's slow. But my grandkids are having so much fun. I'm trying to hold off as long as I can because they really enjoy them. So, hey, Sandy, good to hear from you. It's hot, huh, Sandy? I went out today. It is hot. It's almost 100 degrees out here. Kids go back August 10th in Florida. Yeah, I think it's August 9th here, Jana. Yeah, it's early. Remember, we didn't go back to school until September. September was the beginning of fall and school. And yeah, times have changed. But it's full on summer here. It took a while. It wasn't hot, but just this last week, it's full on hot. It feels like summer. And I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that it is summer because you guys know I've been housebound. I've been cleaning the house and doing my Swedish death cleaning and organizing and stuff. And in the meantime, summer's flying by and we haven't done anything summery. We celebrated the 4th and we went to my son's for a barbecue, that kind of stuff. But usually by now we do stuff. We go camping and go to the beach. But I'm in this cleaning mode, and I need to take a step back from it. I'm done. I'm always going to need to keep continuing with the Swedish death cleaning, but for all practical purposes, the house is in order. Things are looking good. And for this next 4 weeks, I need to focus on having some fun, making some memories, doing things with the kids. And I realized that today. But when I went out to get my car looked at, I realized, man, I don't like it out there. It's hot. It's too hot. Yeah, it used to be. I know it's like I said, it's changed. Yeah, on the calendar it just started, but as far as school, it's the kids are already doing back to school shopping, so it just messes with your head. It just feels weird. You're seeing summer commercials, and it feels like summer, but in 4 weeks, everybody's just going to be going back to school and work. And, hi, Bobby. Good to see you. So, yeah, for us, summer will be over. So we're trying to cram something in fast. We got to do something in this short period of time. We don't have any big plans this year. So that's kind of a bummer. Have you guys ever done that? Had a summer where you just didn't do nothing? We usually do something. But like I said, I've just been cleaning. So we're going to go pick up our granddaughter up in Stockton. We're meeting her halfway. She's coming down and it's like a 6-hour drive. So we're going to pick her up. We'll bring her down and then she'll stay here for a month because school up there doesn't start until 2 weeks later after school down here starts. So she's going to be here for 4 weeks. And while she's here, I want to entertain her. And we're trying to think of, things that we can do. I think we will go swimming and stuff like that. But we don't have any, not like Disneyland or Buena Park. We used to do all that kind of stuff, but it's ridiculously expensive. You have to take a second mortgage out on your house to go to Disneyland. And it's so crowded and it's not fun when it's 100 degrees and you're standing in line for 2 hours for a 2-minute ride. It's just not as much fun. So I don't know. We're not going to do that this summer. I don't know. We'll figure out something. We just like being together, and making memories. But hey, I'm feeling good now. You guys saw my videos, earlier this year. I wasn't, and I was worried how it was going to be this summer when my granddaughter got here. But now I'm feeling good. I want to do things. Um, but like I said, it's so hot. You go outside and it's like just to take a walk. My son was telling me that, him and his girlfriend went or they went for a walk or whatever. And the same thing, they were going to go on this hike. And after being out there in the heat for just a short period of time, they're like, maybe not. When it's that hot, it's not fun. You know what I mean? You live by Disney World? Yeah, it's too hot, it's too crowded, too expensive. It totally, and I did it. I never Disney World. I've always wanted to. That is something on my bucket list at some point. My grandson actually won tickets. He went to a basketball game and he won tickets for two. And they flew him down there and he got to go to Disney World. He just did that last summer. And I thought that was really cool. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So yeah, like I said, I'm doing good otherwise, feeling good, got my health back in order, still working on that. That's a forever ongoing thing, right? Got the house in order. I mean, there's things I can still work on, but so we got that done. Now I just need to get back to working on my finances. And, normally I would be stressed about it because you guys know that's my personality. I stress and worry about everything. But I haven't been. I haven't been too worried about it. I know, Uber's slow right now and YouTube's slow. And it's like, it is what it is. We'll get through this. I'm just not, dwelling on it. I just, I feel like things will get better. But right now I'm focusing on the things that I do have control of. And that's like working on my health, working on getting my home in order, just things like that. No, I don't know how to do that. I was going to make Diana one because she's offered to do it for me. I never figured out how to do it. I'm not very tech savvy at all. Do you have to do that ahead of time to make somebody a moderator? Do I want to sell anything? Well, yeah, I'm thinking, I should be, making and selling things. My granddaughter, she found this one company and she is already making money just selling her old clothes. She's doing really good. And just in a few days, she made like $50 just selling, old t-shirts and stuff. So she sent me the app and there's an app called Vinted. I'll check it out. Is it to sell just anything? Because like I said, my granddaughter, she's been selling clothes and she's doing really well on it. So I thought maybe I'll do that but what's funny is I just gave away a ton of stuff when I was cleaning and organizing. I gave away so much stuff and because I just want to deal with it. I was just like, I want it out of my way so I can have some breathing room. But I'm sure I still have a few things left. Kids' toys. Okay. Well, I'm sure we've got clothes yeah, I know I got clothes. What am I saying? I got clothes. I got clothes. I got jewelry. Hi, Laura. Good to see you. Is it hot up there? It's got to be hot up there where you're at. I know it's not as hot as it is down here. Yeah. And that's another thing. I haven't been very creative lately because my brain just doesn't work that way. Right now it's in cleaning, organizing mode. So I haven't been very artsy, very creative, and I haven't gotten a lot done. Okay, Laura, now that mobility video, I just let everybody know at the beginning of this one, that was not me promoting for able-bodied, healthy people to use those. That was basically, I was trying to address the issue. When do you decide it's time? Because a lot of us won't use them because we're too cool or we don't want to look old. So, we just won't even deal with it. But yeah, what'd you think of it? Because like I said, a lot of people, that's what they thought. They thought that, I was advocating that, able-bodied people should use it, but I'm not, Oh no, I just banned. I don't want to ban Laura. Oh, how do I get her back, you guys? I was banning that other creep. Oh man, now I got to figure out how to add her back. See what I mean? That's why. I need help. See if I can figure it out. See, where'd you go, Laura? I'm going to try and unhide user on this channel. Did that work? Are you back, Laura? Did I get you back? No, I unhid him. Ew. Oh my. Okay, at least it is hiding his stuff, so hopefully you guys can't see it. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I do need to figure out how to get a moderator. But so how are you guys doing? What's everybody else doing with their summer? When I'm walking one step and out, right. I think, like I said, it's good for certain people. If your choice is you can't get around and you're just sitting at home on the couch, wouldn't you rather have something like that will help you be mobile? I know, we worry about people thinking that we look old or lazy or whatever, but I try, but he keeps coming back under a different name. He just changes the last number. I don't know. How can you keep doing that? How can you keep just going back and changing just one number and then he comes back? I don't understand it. And I still haven't got Laura back, you guys. Let's see. See if I can find her. I'm sorry, you guys. This is not how I thought this was going to go. Yeah, it's not letting me unhide it. And if I hit that, it's going to unhide him. Gosh darn it, Laura. I'll get you back. I'm sorry. God. Jerk. It's not your fault. It's because of that other guy. I ended up deleting Laura, and it's not letting me add her back. Let me see. Well, I hope you're still here, Laura. I'm sorry. I know, I can't see your messages or anything. And I think the other person, it says that I hid their messages or whatever. But he just changes his number and he'll keep coming back. So we'll just keep an eye on him. But anyway, so what have you guys been doing for summer? Anybody doing anything fun? Are we all at that age now where our idea of fun is just staying in where it's air conditioned? Oh, you grew up in Missouri? I think a lot of people are from the Midwest, And it's changed. It's growing. It's not like it used to be. As a matter of fact, when I went back there last summer, I was amazed. I always loved it. I always thought it was beautiful, but it's really expanded, and they have all these beautiful developments and golf courses. It's really a pretty area, but prices have gone up. It's not as affordable. It was always one of those affordable options in the back of my mind. We could sell our house and just pay cash for a cute little farmhouse. Well, everybody else had that idea too. And so those farmhouses are going for a premium price because people are, upgrading them and making them look all fancy. But it's still, I just like the Midwest. I like the people. I like the feel of it. Not crazy about the humidity or the tornadoes, but hey, wherever you live, you have to contend with Mother Nature. Like I said, out here we have earthquakes, and on the East Coast they have hurricanes. So in the Midwest you get tornadoes. It's whatever. You just you learn to deal with it. Gosh, I'm so bummed that I lost her. And fires. What's weird is we haven't had any lately, but was it 2 years ago when we had all those fires? We were in the area where they were going to evacuate. We were just like one block in. So we were prepared. We were packed and ready to go. And it was terrible. And my son, especially, it was all the hills around his house. And they had a pool. And, they were trying to keep everything wet and stuff. And the ash from the fires it ruined the pool. It was just full of their cars. It was terrible. So yeah, California, we get to deal with fires. And, like I said, it depends where you're at. There's, you're always going to have to contend with something. But as far as, like I said, this summer is almost over for me. I've got a month left. I got to figure out something fun to do with the kids that doesn't cost $1 million. Going to the beach, which, it's free. It's just the gas to get there. And at almost $5 a gallon, a round trip. And the closest beach is probably Dana Point or Laguna, but it's still like an hour. And the traffic is the part I hate. I hate dealing with that traffic, but it is what it is. So I think maybe we'll do that. We'll go to the beach. We live right here in the mountains. I live in the foothills, but everybody comes up here to go to the creek and the waterfalls. So it's packed. But if you get up there early enough, we can do that. That's fun. Last year, my granddaughter and I, we went thrift store shopping. She likes to do that kind of stuff. And, going out for froyo, just things like that. It doesn't have to be real expensive. But honestly, anytime we leave the house, it costs money. Oh man, that was awful. Wasn't it Paradise Palisades? My husband does insurance repair work, and their company got called in, and he had to go down there, and it looked like a war zone. All these, big, beautiful homes burnt to the ground. And then there'd be this mansion standing all alone, but all the houses around it were just, devastated. I wonder how it's going. I haven't looked into it, Oh, I know. Laguna is a dream. We go there. We used to go there a lot because my brother was always in the Laguna Art Affair, and he'd always have his work. So we'd go down there in the summer, and that's another dream. But it's just a dream because it's like millions of dollars to live there. But at least we can visit. It's close enough. We can go hobnob with the wealthy ones and see how other people live, the other half. And the beach is pretty. It just feels good down there, except for the traffic, but that's anywhere. When you have a beautiful place like that, it's going to be full of people. Although, you guys know, I went up and saw my daughter in Northern California, and where she's at is stunning, absolutely beautiful. But there's no like jobs or anything. It's just like a college town. So it's not too populated because of that. So that's kind of nice. And it's beautiful. But it's way more affordable than like the Southern California beach areas. They're building homes up there, and there were quite a few homes right there on the coast overlooking the ocean, and they were less than $1 million, which, think about that in today's day and age. That's incredible. But we decided not to move up there because there's no easy access to healthcare, and at our age, that's important. We have to think about that. So we're just going to continue to visit. We'll go up there and visit, but for now, this is where we're going to stay until, if something happens. We're just making the best of it. That's why I've been cleaning and purging. And, when you do all that, it makes you fall in love with your house again. Because for a while there, it was just like, oh, this is too much. I want out. I don't want to do this anymore. But once I got it straightened up again, I realized, you know what? This is probably the right size house. I could go smaller. I know a lot of people say no, but I could go smaller. I like cozy. And, but for now, it accommodates the family, and it holds all my stuff. I don't have to put anything in storage, because that's what a lot of people do. They downsize their house and then they pay hundreds of dollars to put all their stuff in storage. Just doesn't make sense. Once we downsize, if what we don't take with us is going, I'm not going to pay to put it in storage. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining us. Where are you from? We got a lot of people here from the Midwest today. So, which means it's 2 hours later. So it's probably, it's after dinner there, I think. I eat dinner early. Oh, it's Laura. Laura, thank you. I don't know, I didn't know how to get you back in. I will get you back in after this. I just haven't figured it out. It says, it shows me that I can unhide you, and I'm trying to do it on my phone, but it will not let me. So I will correct that, Laura. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hi, Nurse Adrian. Good to have you here. You know what? I do. And you guys, thank you so much. That's the thing. This house is big enough for all my grandkids right now. And believe it or not, most of the time there is anywhere from 6 to 11 people here in this house living here, because my grandkids, they stay with me for days at a time. So we need the space for everybody. We have a family. So we really aren't ready to downsize yet. As the kids get older and they go off and they have their own spaces, then we could consider it. But right now, we need room. We need room for everybody. So this house works for that. Oh, well, thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad you did. I was having a problem there for a little bit. I had some weirdo in here bugging us, and I accidentally deleted one of my favorite people, Laura, because I was deleting his messages, and then I couldn't figure out how to undelete her. And like I said, I'm not very tech savvy. But she persevered. She came back in. I'm so glad. But just talking about dealing with summer, right now. Summer used to mean a lot more. If summer, when you're a kid, it's everything. It just means freedom and going and having fun. It doesn't mean the same thing at this age anymore. It just means hot. It means we're going to have a lot more traffic here, and because a lot of tourists and stuff like that. Usually we get out of town guests in the summer, and that's nice. But this summer, nothing. We've just been working, cleaning, purging, trying to get better health-wise, and trying to deal with the summer slump and Uber and YouTube. So it's just been a weird summer. But every summer's been different for the last few years. I can't remember well, no, I know I did when I was younger, when summers were just awesome. The whole summer was all about vacations, and we'd go places and do things every day. It's not like that anymore. Let's see. Oh, I always wanted to do that, paddleboarding. That looks like so much fun. There's a place in Dana Point where you can do that. You can rent them. I just don't know if I would be good at that, but they also rent kayaks and stuff, and we've done that, and that's fun. But I wanted to try paddleboarding. I think that looks really cool. Where do you go paddleboarding? Do you have like a lake near you? Because I think that would be a lot of fun. Anyway, so yeah, I've just been dealing with all that, trying to make YouTube videos. There's not a lot to talk about because there's not a lot is going on other than me, like I said, cleaning and purging and working on that kind of stuff. So, it's kind of boring. I don't know what you guys would want to even see. Right? I agree. Crazy cat lady. Oh, nice. Yeah, I bet. I bet it's got to be hard on the legs. Good exercise, though. I think I don't know. It just always looked like fun. I'm always looking to try new things. We were going to go like river rafting. We were going to do that with the family. My son did that last year and he wanted us all to do it. And it just didn't work out. Everybody's busy, jobs and kids and summer school and, people coming and going. Nobody's schedule was jiving. So we just had to put those plans on hold for right now. So, like I said, in the meantime, we're just, hanging out, not doing a whole lot. Maybe when the weather cools down, but because summer started late, it's getting hot now. It's going to last through October. It won't cool down until, I don't know, maybe around Christmas. Oh, Ventura. Oh, okay. You lived in Ventura? That's beautiful. We drive through there. I love that area. We've stayed there too. Yeah, that's my happy place. I would miss the ocean. That would be the hardest thing for me. There's something about the ocean, the expanse of it just goes on forever. It just feels so free to me. And I need that. I just need to get grounded. I need to go to the beach. That's my happy place. And when we lived away from it, because we did move back to Nebraska briefly, we were back there for like, I don't even think 6 months, and we ended up coming back. um, it was so hard for me just knowing that I couldn't just hop in my car and go to the beach when I was stressed or when I needed, a lift. Um, but my husband's not that way. He's not as attached to the beach as I am. His happy place is the forest, the mountains. He needs to be near that kind of area. I mean, we're all different. Some people need the city. They love being in the middle of the city, where everything's happening, that energy. That for me is overwhelming. I wouldn't enjoy that. I don't even like visiting that. But, we're all different. I have a close friend who we call her a desert rat. She loves the desert. As long as she's on the river, she has, toys and she plays out in the water and stuff, sea-doos or whatever, wave runners. So she really enjoys that. Whereas for me, it's hell on earth. The heat, I can't handle that. Okay. What's your name? ASBMP. You've told me before, but I have a terrible memory. Alfonso. There it is. It's right there in your comment. Thank you. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I bet it's hard. It's hard. I like, I it almost makes me feel like I'm on vacation, even though I'm not just living here because I know it's right there. If I really wanted to, I could go, so I have that. It's a psychological thing in the back of my mind. I know I have easy access to it. Off-roading. Wow. Yeah, we did that a little bit when we were younger. We had, a big 4x truck and stuff. We did a lot of stuff when we were younger that we don't do now, but we're outdoor enthusiasts. We love to be outside. We like doing things, except when it's, this hot. Nobody wants to be outside when it's 100 degrees. It's not fun. What? You live 7 miles from the ocean? Oh, you lucky girl. Well, thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that because, I feel like I've been kind of in a slump. My mind hasn't been there. And that's why I've had to do some promotional videos because I feel like my life is so boring. You guys see, this is what I do. I clean my house. I was filming Uber, but I don't even do Uber anymore. I was sick for a while. That was boring. But, I'm trying to get my health back, trying to get my house squared away, and always oversharing and talking about my plans for the future, which change minute by minute because that's the way I am, but I just like to talk about it online and hear from other people that maybe can relate to what I'm going through. It's nice to know I'm not alone and get ideas for what we want to do because it changes all the time. Right now I think we're set on staying here. Like I said, I was thinking about moving, but at the current time, we're going to stay in our house and make the best of it. It's almost paid off. My husband's going to retire next year. He bumped it up. He was supposed to retire last year, but financially, we're not in that place yet. So, we're going to stay here. I had a 2-year plan, which is probably a 3-year plan now because I'm not making money right now. So eventually, we'll get there and you guys will get to deal with it. You'll get to hear about it. I just like to talk about it and hear what other people are doing, you know? No, really, Alfonso? Oh, that's scary. See, that's why I never wanted to do Uber where you drive people around and you have them in your car. Diana did that. And she did have some scary incidents. And I was like, I would freak out, So I mean, I just deliver food, but even that, it just hasn't been very profitable lately because people don't use Uber as much in the summertime, and they call it the summer slump with, food delivery. So I'll try again, maybe, in the fall. 1 in 10 Americans have researched leaving the country. Yes, yes. And people tell me that all the time. I can't imagine leaving, but I understand why people would. But I'm a chicken. I don't want to move to another country where I'm not familiar with their customs and their culture and their government, and I don't speak the language. And it would be scary. But I know a lot of people that have very ambitious. And they talk about how much money you can save, and it sounds wonderful. Maybe if I went with a group and I could start my own commune over there, but just me and my husband moving to another country, leaving everything I know, my family, my friends, my community. I'm too set in my ways at this point in time. Oh, lucky you. You're a youngin', Adrian, and you're already planning on retiring? Smart girl. Uber charges an arm and a leg. I know, we get nothing. I mean, I was lucky because of where I live. It was profitable. People tip because I hear a lot of places they don't tip people or they take their tips back. It's not like that up here. And there's a lot of older people that don't drive, so they're willing to pay to have groceries delivered and all that. So it was for a time, it was good, but it just has slowed down. And I don't want to sit in my car when it's 100 degrees out because you got to leave the air on. And, when gas is $5 a gallon, I can't afford to do that. So yeah, I just am not doing it right now. Nope. Would never leave the grandkids. Yeah, there's a lot to think about when you're thinking about retiring, because honestly, we could retire. My husband and I could just say, we're done working. But we got to look at, how much money do we actually have in the bank and how long will it last us? And what do we want to do? If we lived a very frugal, quiet life, we could, but we don't know how long we're going to live. We could both live another 20 years. Is our money going to last that long? So there's all these variables, things that we have to consider. And we just want to be a little more secure. So we're both working a little bit longer than we planned. We want to have a little more money in the bank, no debts. And I don't know. right now. I took my car in today and it needs more work than I realized. So that was kind of a bummer. You know, they wanted to redo the something to do with the front end alignment. It was going to be like $1,500. It's like, man, it was hard enough affording the oil change. The oil change was 106 or something like that, and that was the cheaper one. I was like, oh, now you're telling me that I got to have all this work done on this car. It's not even paid for yet. And I was hoping to pay it off this next year and then keep it. I don't want a car payment. Colorado Uber and Lyft drivers are they're not allowed to accept tips. Wow. Can't imagine doing it if it wasn't for the tips. I mean, come on. They don't pay you that much, except out here in California, we get that Prop 22 money, which that helps, but I don't know what it's like everywhere else. Right. Simply Blue. Yeah. So I don't know. I may not even get back into that. If I can keep doing YouTube has been very good, except for the past month or two, because this summer slump, it happened last year. I went through it, but this year I actually had people that wanted me to promote things. So that helped me. They reached out to me and they offered me these things and said, if you make a video and show it, you can keep the product and then do what you want with it. So I had one friend who did this. He does camping videos. He got sent 7 e-bikes in like a 6-month period of time. He made more selling those e-bikes than he did on his YouTube channel. So, yeah, you can make money doing that kind of stuff. But like I said, we got the e-bike, we got the scooter, and my grandkids love them. So now, they're using them for summer toys. I can't take them away. Yep, I will be, Bobby. I'm going to be getting, I always say it wrong, Medicare. Is it? It's going to be like 200 and something a month or whatever. So that'll be a lot cheaper because insurance out here is ridiculous. And the sad thing is we don't even use it. My husband has to because he has to go in pretty regularly because of his heart condition and being on prescription meds. They always got to see him every few months. But that's it. Otherwise, we're both pretty healthy and we don't have to go in on a regular basis, but you still got to pay. And even over and above what you pay, you still have to pay, when you go to see the doctor, you got to pay, for co-payments and office visits and prescriptions and stuff. So that's a never-ending thing. Hi, Annie. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about when I say, Ubers, people use Uber up here because, there's a lot of people that don't drive, right? We're not a retired community, but we're kind of a semi-retired community. There's a lot of older people up here, which, is beneficial for me because a lot of people give up their vehicles. So they're willing to pay me, Don't forget to sign up for everything so you don't pay. Yeah, I've got to do that. I've got to look into all that. I should have started already. My husband told me. Well, actually, I think this month he wanted me to start looking into all that. Share medical, don't pay for everything. Yeah, that's what I hear too, crazy cat lady. Oh, so we got to work on just staying healthy. That's all we can do. But I already have pre-existing conditions that, are going to affect me. Oh, the penalties are permanent? I didn't know that. Yeah, my husband, he turned 65 last year, so he went through all that. So he's going to help me with mine because, it's confusing when you're new to it. You don't understand. I agree, Simply Blue. I hope something changes. I had an epiphany, if you will, today. You guys know, if you watch me, I worry. I'm always thinking about, the worst things that could happen, not for me necessarily, but because I worry about my kids and grandkids and their future and just looking at things and just seeing how things have declined through the years, slowly. It's not a new thing. It's just been on a gradual decline. And I just keep thinking it's going to continue this way. And it's like, God, but today I thought, what if somebody decides to change it? What if people just get sick of how terrible things are and actually change things? They want better, because I think most of us do want better, and we want to see things make this a utopia, if you will, and I think that there's going to be a change in the mindset. People are going to have to realize we have to work together. We can't be so divided, because we all want the same things. We all want to be happy and healthy and live these beautiful quality lives. But we're fighting against each other and not focusing on the right things. And I'm thinking maybe the next generations will be smarter. Maybe they'll work together, and it won't just be about money. And so I'm trying to focus on that, the thought that maybe things will get better. Maybe, I know some of you are probably going to think I got my head in the clouds, but you know what? I would rather focus on that than think about things getting worse, because it was really bothering me. I was sad for my grandkids, because I thought we grew up in a time when things were, plentiful and life was good when we were younger. And that's what I remember. And I want that for my kids and grandkids. I hate seeing everybody struggling and working so hard. And everybody has to tighten their belts and work twice as hard, and they're getting half as far as we did. Their lifestyles are so different. What I see anyway, what I see my kids and grandkids going through, we were so fortunate. And I know we get blamed for a lot of things that are going wrong right now. The boomers are, I think I'm Gen Jones. Is that what we decided? But even still, things were different for us. We were very fortunate. So I'm gonna focus on that. If you pray and about that kind of thing, that's the stuff that I'm going to be praying on, that things will get better for everybody, not just us, for everybody. Everybody deserves to have quality of life. I know it is confusing, Annie. That's the thing, that's why I was like, I need somebody. And then you have all these people sending you mail, and they all want to help you. They all want to help you. And it's like, yeah, it's all about money. Part B adds 10%, 12 months. Don't enroll. Oh, I'm going to listen to you because you're in the medical field. I think you know what you're talking about. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that, because we don't know. Excuse me, we don't know. I just know that, it's still going to be cheaper than what we got now, but, this is what we're going to be paying forever. We're going to be paying, 200 and something a month, unless, it goes up, which. Is there an Oak Street Health in your area? Not that I'm aware of. I could look into it. I don't know anything about that. You are very fortunate to have Navy retirement. Very. Yes. I need to look into that, crazy cat lady. Oh, I agree. I agree with you, Simply Blue. I think all of us do. We're all tired of it, because obviously nothing's working. It's just like, come on, you guys. Every year we keep thinking maybe next year it'll get better, and it just gets a little bit worse, and we just squeak by, and we're tired of it. I want more. I want more. I don't want to, you work hard all your lives just so that you can, live frugally. We're not even talking about living, like the 1% do. We're just talking about being able to put food on the table and keep a roof over our head, because even that is becoming more and more difficult. You guys know I've talked about that a lot, because I know a lot of people who get to retirement age and they cannot even afford their basic bills, and they're moving into their vehicles. They're moving into RVs. That's why you see a rise in, the nomadic lifestyle, people doing that, because they have no choice. And as romantic as they try to make that sound on social media, it's only fun for a short period of time. I wouldn't want to do that forever, not into my 80s and 90s, so there's got to be an end game there. But once you sell your house and you're not working anymore, unless you have a big pile of cash, you're not going to be able to, get back into a house or buy another one, you're going to be permanently living in that RV. Oh God, don't even get me started on AI. I know. And I get people that will come on and they'll debate me. They talk about all the great things, and maybe there is. I don't know as much about it, but I just know all the bad things. So, and it's I even like on YouTube. Have you guys noticed? I'll click on a video, the title and the thumbnail will grab me, and then I realize it's AI slop, because that's all it is. They just piece it together. It's just junk. But those are the ones people are watching. Real people like me and stuff. We get very few, people watch, one of my videos over those AI videos, because they look like they're better made, but they're just junk. They're just pieced together, random. I don't know. I just don't like them. I like her. Yeah, you're right. She's honest. I like that. Hi, Sun and Seashore. See an independent Medicare specialist to review your options. Yeah, that's what I need to do for sure. Right? We're the Jones Gen. We're cool. We're not the bad people. They always make it sound like we're the bad people. Teacher retired. Were you a teacher, Annie? Right? She doesn't sugarcoat anything. I love that about her. Those are the people I like to watch. I mean, there's a lot of videos or channels where everything's perfect. And every once in a while, I like watching perfect people and imagining that maybe someday if I get my shit together, I can be that way. But overall, I know that's not true. So I like to watch real people and see what they're doing. How are they surviving? Excuse me. Those are the people that I enjoy watching the most. Oh, your husband. Okay, awesome. I have a lot of friends that are teachers. I don't know why. My kids too. It's like everybody I know is a teacher. Um, oh wow. Did he ever teach up here in our area? Oh, does she? Okay. See, I haven't watched her in a while. It's been a while since I've watched her, but I did like her. I'm still subscribed to her, but I'm subscribed to thousands of people, and I very seldom get to watch. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I had another friend who did that, and she lived up here too. I can't remember her name offhand. Okay, only San Bernardino counties. Okay, but what was talking about? Kath or Carolyn. Um, yeah, she gets a lot of criticism because she's real. And they're like, oh, she's aging. And, people focus on that. It's like, that's not what her channel is, a beauty channel. She's not talking on that kind of stuff. She's talking about RV lifestyle living. But it's like, oh, because she's a woman, they're constantly downgrading her and talking crap about her. And I don't know how she does it. She can ignore it for the most part. She's really cool. She's a smart lady. Yes. How'd you know? It was Kim. Thank you. Oh my God. And we live in a small town, Annie. Hi, David. Good to hear from you. Where are you at, David, right now? Where are you at? What area? Is it hot? Because it is so hot up here right now. Yeah, I know. Crazy cat. Like, yeah, because she's been through a lot. She really has. But like I said, I enjoy watching her. She's very independent. She's been traveling alone for years in her RV, and she gives practical advice. I just really enjoyed watching her. Okay, Pennsylvania. Okay, beautiful area. I think I've told you before. My husband and I went there for Farm Aid for a concert. And I was surprised because I had lived in Philadelphia, so I associated all of Pennsylvania with that one area, and it's nothing like that. That's probably the worst of it, right? And so I was really amazed when we went back there, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Pennsylvania is a beautiful area. Yeah, that's crazy. It's blissful 80. I would take 80 degrees. It was 97 in my car today when I went to take it in to get serviced. And I was like, yeah, this is, my heart goes out to people that are, either don't have air conditioning or, living out of their vehicles in this heat. It's great when the weather's nice. Well, I know it's not even great, but you know, nobody wants to be out in this heat. I can't even do Uber when it's this hot because I have to leave my car running the whole time. Yeah, it is really hot. Was willing, yes, he was. He was there, and I always forget John Cougar Mellencamp. He was there, and they weren't even the ones that we went to see. And I always forget the other guy's name, and he was the main guy that we went to see. If you can think of him, let me know. Because I always forget. But anyway, that was the reason that we went to see them, and they did an outdoor concert. It was beautiful. My husband and I used to love to go to concerts. We haven't gone in a couple years. I think the last one was Van Morrison, but that's something that we both enjoy. We like the old music from our era, and we just enjoyed going to that type of thing. But they're expensive, man. What they want to charge to go to a concert nowadays is it's insane. The ultrasound van, I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's definitely hot. At night we shut our air off. We don't like to run our air at night. We leave the windows open, but it's hot. I know. There's a lot of stuff I used to love to do, but we simply cannot afford it because we're in savings mode at this point in our life. We're trying to rebuild what little nest egg we had. You guys know my story, and we're trying to rebuild that so that we can retire somewhat comfortably. I think it's inevitable with the way the economy is going that we're going to have struggles. It's 95 degrees in Sarasota. Yeah, see, I heard that this heat wave was all over the United States. Everybody was getting hit with it right now. It's going to be really hot. And then aren't we in an El Nino year, which is why it's so hot? But later on this year, we're going to get a lot more rain and snow, which is definitely much needed out here. But that's going to change things a lot. He travels around the van. Yeah, when it gets hotter, it gets up to like 110, 111. My husband works in the desert. We're considered the high desert, but where he works like it's a little over an hour away, and it's 120 most of the time. He always sends me pictures when he gets in the car, the temperature gauge, it'll say 122. It's crazy. I saw that too. There was a heat wave in Europe. People were dying, when it gets that hot. Absolutely. But see, the thing is, Bobby, once we pay off the house, we're hoping to retire because that's what's holding us back. We don't want to have any debt. So we will just be living on our Social Security checks. So it'd be different if we were working and the house was paid off. Then we could save a lot more, but our Social Security won't be as much as we're making now working. So we won't be able to save as much, but hopefully we can save some. But see, the whole idea was I want to retire and do all the things that I put off doing, because I that was the plan when I was young. It was like, okay, I can't afford to travel and do all these things I want to do now, but when I retire, we'll go do all those things. Well, now here we are. We're at that age, and not only do we not we're not as healthy. We're both pretty healthy considering. I went through a period where I wasn't, but for all practical purposes, I feel like we're fairly healthy. But we're at this point where we should be doing all that stuff, but because of the economy and things that have happened, now we can't. It's not going to be that kind of retirement, not for us, and not for most people that I know. There's some for sure that are enjoying their retirement and they're traveling and they're doing it, and that's great. But we don't fall in that category. We're going to be those that we won't be able to realize those dreams. We will be fortunate to continue to stay in our home and buy groceries and pay our bills. Yeah, 100-degree plus weather. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have air conditioning. And even up north where my daughter's at in Northern California, a lot of the businesses and the homes up there don't have central air because they didn't need it. But it's getting progressively hotter and um, yeah, they don't have it. So if they get a heat wave, it's really going to hurt them. Well, we're just starting our heat wave, so it's gonna, like I said, it'll probably last clear into October. So we got to make the most of it. And if you do want to get outside, you just, you got to do it earlier in the day or later on in the evening, even after it's dark. We go walking. I feel like my neighborhood's fairly safe. That's the time to go walking because I like to walk, but not when it's 100 degrees out. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, now see, Alfonso, that's what I'd heard, and I've made videos on that, and I get slammed every time I say that. People are like, "You're fear mongering. They're not going to run out of money," and blah blah blah. Well, I'd like to think that too. I don't want to think that they're going to run out of money, but then there's other people that are in the know. Is it Dr. Weir who worked for the Social Security um, organization, and he says, these things can happen. Don't tell yourself no, no, no. I mean, sure, we want to believe that, and I hope they don't, but there is a possibility. And what if? That's my thing. I What would we do? What would you do if that's what you were relying on? I it's a scary thought because there's so many people that are depending on that. It would be like um, The Walking Dead. It would just be crazy out here with everybody just living on the streets because they weren't getting the only income that they were depending on. Right? It is plausible. Yeah, and I think it definitely will be reduced. I think that's something we can all agree on. It is definitely that's they at the least they're going to reduce it. But there are a lot of people that really foresee that they could possibly do away with it. Like I said, I would hate to think that, but there's a lot of things that have happened in this country that I didn't think we'd ever see. So I don't say never anymore. I realize anything is possible. Right? You're very fortunate, Annie. That's quite a blessing. We were almost there. And then, well, you guys know all the terrible things that happened to us. But we're bouncing back. We're dealing with it. We've been fortunate. I've had issues. My health goes up and down, but usually it's by my own doing. I stopped taking my supplements or I'm not eating right, but I'm feeling good again. So I'm going to continue to take care of my health so that I can continue working. I will work as long as I can and as long as it's not torture. I'm not doing, it's not a slave driving job, either Uber or YouTube, but it does bring in money. So I will continue to work as long as I can. Not everybody can do that, so I'm fortunate. I'm grateful that there are these type of jobs that I can still make some money because I need to. I've got to pay off what few debts we have. My husband and I are working together on that. And then at that point, once we have no debts and we have enough money that we feel like we're comfortable, then I would probably retire. Who knows? I may work until I'm 80. If let's say I'm doing YouTube and it's paying, I might continue doing it. I've seen people on here. Is it Nana or Nanny and the Moose? Have you watched her channel? She's in her 80s, I think, and she's doing YouTube. She's doing great. There's a couple channels of older ladies out there that are still doing YouTube and they're making a nice little income. So, I'll do it. I'll keep doing it as long as I enjoy it. And right now, because of you guys, I have a very wonderful audience. The people that watch me and comment on stuff, are lovely. I'm very fortunate because well, you guys saw there's some trolls out there, but for the most part, most people have just been wonderful. I've been received really well because I was nervous, about sharing my story because it's embarrassing to be in the position we're in, but everybody's been very kind. And I get to hear about other people's stories of what they're dealing with, because life is changing for all of us. The economy's different, and we're all just trying to make the best of it. 95, and he's on YouTube. I want to find him. Yep, there's some strange beings out there, and they usually find their way to my channel. I have had some crazy comments lately, you guys. I'm lucky that YouTube blocks them before other people see them, because some of the stuff is horrifying, because my grandkids watch my channel. They read this stuff, and there's some stuff is just awful. But there's people out there like that, unfortunately. But I try not to focus on them. I try to focus on, all the great people that I've met. You guys have all been wonderful. It is fun. I like talking with you guys. I like listening to your stories. Everybody's just been so, genuinely kind and helpful. And it's interesting too, to meet people in different cities and finding out what they're doing, how they're dealing with, their upcoming retirement. And there's people that are traveling. Some people are living with their kids, multi-generational households. Some are moving into their vehicles. I see a lot of people living in RVs and stuff like that. I saw one today. I almost stopped and took a picture of it because I was like, that's the perfect size. But we're not quite ready to do that. Maybe this next year we'll look at that. I really want to do that. Yeah, if you find them, let me know, because I'm always looking for those type of channels. That's what I like to watch. I like to watch other people that are retiring. I used to like to watch off-grid channels. I always fantasized about doing the off-grid thing, but I think if we were going to do that, we would have done it when we were younger, because it's a lot of work, because I hear from you, people that are doing it, and they say the same thing. It's not something they would recommend starting at this age. If you're going to do it, you should have started at a younger age. But I like that idea. I like the idea of a smaller home. I like the idea of a little bit more property, growing my own garden and stuff like that, having my animals. That is very appealing to me. And yet I'm a suburban princess. This is where I live. It's not what I had imagined. I'd always talked about my commune. I wanted to have like a big community property for family and friends, and we could all build whatever kind of dwelling we wanted, whether it was a yurt, or you could park an RV, a tiny home, whatever. And then we would have like a main house that we could all use for like holidays or gatherings. And I'd have a big kitchen and big open area. That was always my dream. It'll always be a dream. Who knows? You never know. But right now we live in a tract home in Southern California, far removed from that. And I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. It's not big and fancy. We have a smaller home. It's on the smaller side, 1,700 square feet, but it's fine for what it is. Like I said, it holds my grandkids. And usually there's anywhere between 6, 8 to 11 people here most of the time. My house is full. We have always people sleeping downstairs. We've turned the guest rooms we have more bedding now because, they all want to spend the night and stuff. So I'm grateful that my kids can come here. My grandkids, we enjoy that. We have a lot of fun, and we're making memories, especially since we can't go out and do things like I would like, because everything costs money. When I leave the house, it costs money, whether it's just putting gas in my car or, getting something to drink, especially when it's summertime. So, I don't want to leave the house as much. I think that's the plan for the rest of this summer, is to not leave, stay home as much as possible, enjoy the air conditioning, find things to do at home with the kids, um, make some memories, do art, play games, watch movies, that kind of thing until the weather cools down. Alaska, who's going home? Setting is a great channel. Oh yeah, I know. I love watching those people that live in Alaska. That's my husband's dream. He would move to Alaska. We got to go to Alaska and we loved it, both of us. I thought, man, but those winters look brutal. Again, when I was younger, I'm sure it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But I do think about those things now. I'm more realistic. Maybe I could do it. I do feel like I'm healthy and strong, but I don't want to be foolish either. Because eventually we decline, our bodies decline as we get older. It's a natural progression. It's going to happen, and so I like to think ahead. Even being in a 2-story house, I'm thinking, how long do I want to do that? Right now, it's good exercise because I'm up and down them stairs 20, 30 times a day at least. So I know it's good for me. Do I like it? No, I hate it. I hate having to drag my vacuum up and down the stairs, carrying a basket full of towels. They're heavy up and down the stairs, but I know it's good for me. But there will come a day, possibly, that I can't do it, and before that day happens, that's when I have to think about it. You can't wait until it happens, but before it happens, we have to consider, well, do we need to move into something smaller? We used to have granny camp. That's basically what I am, Nana's camp. I call, I have Nana's taxi. Nana's house is Nana's camp. I'm very fortunate. My mom did the same thing, though. I'm just taking over where my mom left off. She did this. She always, helped out with the kids and stuff because all my kids work. They're so busy, and so rather than having to send the kids to daycare and stuff, I'm fortunate that I'm in a position that I can help them and that I enjoy it, because not everybody does. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not all maternal. There's nothing wrong with that. We're shamed, especially as women, if we don't naturally feel maternal. But my sister, she wasn't. She always told me that she much preferred going to work than staying home with the kids. She thought I was a saint for wanting to stay home with the kids. I always admired her that she could go off to work. I was like, wow, I couldn't do that and leave my kids, but just different. We shouldn't all feel obligated to, stay at home with the grandkids, because I know a lot of people that feel like, I raised my kids, this is my time. That's fine. You should. For me, I get a lot of joy out of it. I really do enjoy being with my grandkids and my kids. I just, I'm really fortunate. God, wouldn't that be great? I get it, Annie. I get it. They do. They're a lot of work. I'm grateful that my grandkids are older. When they were babies, because they were all young at the same time, and it was a lot of work. But now they're more independent. Most of them are teenagers or almost teenagers, so it's a lot easier. I don't have to get them everything. Every drink of water, make the food. They can take care of themselves for the most part. I just am here with them, and I enjoy that far much more than when it was constant care. But I enjoy being with them. They're my favorite people in the whole world. We have such a great time when we're together. um, yeah, I'm really grateful. My kids have done a good job. I always wanted more kids, but financially we couldn't afford more kids. But I come from a big family. I think that's why, and I liked that dynamic. And you don't see that. Well, understandably, people don't have 7, 8 kids anymore. Who can afford that? It's hard enough to afford 1 or 2. We had 3 and we struggled. But I mean, I don't regret it. I worked off and on when I was raising the kids, but my husband carried the bulk of that. And we didn't have anything. My kids grew up, I always say they're poor, and they're like, Mom, we were fine. We had everything we needed. but they were good kids. We shopped at thrift stores, and we didn't have lavish vacations. We went camping and fishing, but they have great memories. So we were able to spend time together, do things together. But I always felt guilty. It was like, I wish I could have done more for them that way. But, I think it was actually to their benefit because they're all very self-sufficient kids now, or adults. They're not kids. My son's going to be 46 years old this next week. It's like, when did you get that old? We're almost the same age now. It's so crazy to me. But, I was a teenager when I had him. It's the best. I do too. And we have a lot of good thrift stores up here. Hi, Annie. I do like that. That's another advantage of living up here in this small town. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm fortunate because, we do have a lot of people around us. We've got our community here, and I enjoy that. We don't have a lot of money. I can't go and do all the things that I always imagined I would be doing at this point. But things have gotten to where we're just grateful to be able to feed ourselves. And like I said, we have a comfortable home. I'm very grateful for what I do have. Yep, you got a full house too, huh? I love it when they're all here. That's the best. And they love each other. They all get along. They're more like siblings than cousins because they've grown up together. And so I enjoy watching them interact. They're so great. They're such good kids. And it's, I could brag about them forever. I'm not going to do that. But I'm very grateful for that. Um, my yard, um, it's getting overgrown. It needs some TLC. I've been spending all the time inside. I haven't been outside. My husband takes care of the yard, and he's got his hands full. It's a big yard. You've seen that, you know. Um, and he planted all these wildflowers, and he's got gardens on both sides of the house going and stuff. He's got a lot, and we were just out there last weekend, and it was like, oh boy, it's time to trim a lot of this stuff back. He has to trim everything back every month or so, I swear, and it just gets overgrown again. But when it's all trimmed back, it looks beautiful, but it requires a lot of work, which isn't bad in the winter and the spring. But when it's 100 degrees out, because of his heart condition, I don't like him spending hours out there in the sun doing that. We put gravel in the front yard and river rock so that we don't have to worry about that. We have a little bit of grass out front, but in the front we have a courtyard, and we have a swing out there and chairs and stuff. And we put pavers down. We made like a little patio. So there's not a lot of grass anymore. We do have a little bit around the pool, our hillbilly pool, our above ground pool. And we're even thinking about doing away with part of that. But I don't want all gravel because then it just makes it really hot. And then we have a hill, and the hill has all of our herbs and stuff. We have rosemary and thyme and lavender and lemon balm and mint. And then we have a lot of wildflowers and a huge butterfly bush. And right now he's growing his garden. He's growing cucumbers. He's going to do pickles. And we've got the pumpkins. We always grow pumpkins for the fall. And tomatoes. We've got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, the yard's it's a full-time deal right now. I know where you're at, Annie. At first I was like, oh no. Hey Annie, do you belong to the bulletin on Facebook? I started that. I mean, it's still mine, but I have like other people running it for me. I have like 6 other mods doing it because it just got to be overwhelming. It got to be such a huge group. Yeah. Were you on there when I was on there? Because I was busy with that group a lot, but then I started doing YouTube and I backed off. I hardly ever on it anymore. But it's great because it keeps the community abreast of what's going on and stuff. That was why I started it. I still do the buy sell trade page. That's my son and mine, and that one's pretty big. We've got like 30,000 people, and That can be a full-time job too. We get a lot of people on there. But I don't do social media anymore. I focus on YouTube, and I don't do my Instagram. I never go on Facebook. I look in on them periodically. What about you guys? Because we used to do them all, but now that YouTube is actually a job, this is where I focus all my energy on. Do you? Yeah, my son, he started the buy sell trade page. We didn't have any up here. He's been doing that for years. And it was really kind of cool when he first started doing it because he would get access to things right away that people really good deals. We furnished our homes and everything. We got some great deals, or people were giving stuff away, if we just go pick it up. So it was really a good thing. Now it's just a matter of babysitting because, you go on there and you got people fighting and they're always messaging us, can you do something about this person or that person? And it's, we do it for free, but yeah, it can be a lot of work. I like doing the bulletin because everybody's on that, teachers, the policemen, the city council, and I got to meet a lot of really neat people up here. So that was fun. I really enjoy that more than anything. I felt like it brought the community together. It was good for that. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. I'm glad you made it. I used to work for Facebook and tell everyone to get off of it. Right? Yeah. I don't do it. I go on there to see what my family's doing. My family's on Facebook. It reminds me of whose birthday it is or whatever, but that's it. I don't post anything on there. I'm surprised that so many people still use it. A lot of people do. Well, good. I'm glad. And yeah, we've gotten some really good bargains just doing that. But yeah, I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. A lot of people are saying if you do YouTube, you should do TikTok because you can make money doing both. I couldn't keep up with it. It's hard enough just to focus on doing YouTube for me, as you guys know. I couldn't do more than one thing. Really? Yeah, you know more probably of the behind the scenes stuff with Facebook. What did you do exactly when you say you work for them? What did you do? Yeah, I'm like I said, I don't do any of them. Instagram, I just thought that was for the young people anyway. Never did get that. But now they have you guys heard of Kick? A lot of people from YouTube are going to Kick because they're not making money on YouTube. A lot of weird stuff is happening behind the scenes on YouTube, and people aren't making money like they used to. Things have changed. And so a lot of people are getting angry and they're leaving YouTube and they're going over to Kick. I watched several people go over there, and Kick pays you daily, I guess. You can make good money doing it, mainly if you do like podcasts and stuff, which I don't. But like I said, I watch a few people over there because I do like to watch that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Oh, you were actually in security. Wow. Yeah, I know. We don't like our kids aren't allowed to do any of those. Yeah. It's like, nope, you're not allowed to. We don't even like them, spending much time on their devices, like in the summertime. That's another reason I enjoy having my kids over here because I feel like, we keep busy. They're not being babysat by their devices because a lot of kids are, I mean, you should really watch those things. I mean, I'm not a young parent, so I can't tell you how to parent, but you should really keep an eye on that kind of stuff. And my kids really do. I'm really proud of them. They're very strict about that, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that happens. But we try to keep the kids busy so that they don't just end up being babysat by their devices all summer. We try to have them together because kids just want to be with kids. They like to be with each other and they play. And like I said, we do fun things here. We try to do cheap things, inexpensive things. I'm running out of ideas though. And like I said, I've been in this cleaning mode recently, so I'm not fun Nana right now. All I can focus on is I want to clean this and I want to clean that. When they're here, they basically entertain each other, but I gotta do stuff. I gotta be fun. I gotta be fun grandma. So I'm going to put the cleaning, now that I got it to where I like it, it's comfortable. I'm going to put that on the back burner, and we're going to focus on doing things and having some fun cooking and baking. Um, I want to. My husband's going to be doing. I've told you guys he wants to do a cooking channel when he has time, when he retires, because he cooks a lot, especially on the weekends. And he's tried to film cooking and stuff, but he doesn't know. Just like I didn't know. You don't know when you first start. He was trying to film bits and pieces, but he did it in such a way that to edit it, it's a lot of work. Whereas when I film my videos, I film it all just like in one thing. I don't do very much editing, as you can tell, because I don't know how. So there's a lot to learn. There's a learning curve there, but he wants to do this because it would be a good hobby. And he is such a good cook. He probably should have had a restaurant, and he enjoys it. That's probably why he's a good cook, because he enjoys it. So I said, well, not just me, everybody, even the people at work that work with him, because he brings in food and stuff at work. Everybody's like, you need to have a cooking channel, So he's going to be doing that next year. But we were thinking about doing camping and cooking, because that's what we like to do. And I thought that would be fun. I think people would enjoy that, rather than just me sitting in my house cooking, or not cooking. Who am I kidding? Cleaning and doing that kind of stuff. We'd actually get out and do things. I think it'd be a little more interesting. I think that's why I like watching those type of videos. I can live vicariously through those people that are actually doing stuff. They're out there traveling. I love watching those kind of people. You film it all the way and then edit. Yeah. Well, no, I also have a camera. My daughter-in-law brought me a really nice little camera, but I use that for B-roll. When I overlay my B-roll into my videos, it's from the camera, because it's much better. But the thing is, when you use the camera, you can't just upload it. You have to film it on the camera, then you have to transfer it over to your laptop, and then you can edit with it and then upload it. It's a process. So I can't just film my videos with it. I imagine I could learn how, but because our internet's slow, because we live in a valley, we have terrible internet. It takes me a long time to upload every video. So when I film off of the camera and then have to upload it twice, it takes so much more time. So yeah, basically I use my cheap Samsung phone, which is why it's not very clear. I would like to have a more crisp, clear picture. Although this is probably to my advantage, because people think I use a filter, and I don't. It's bad quality, the camera itself. So yeah, maybe I won't like it, because I've heard people have done that. They've switched over to using like an iPhone, and all of a sudden it's more crisp and clear, and you see every little line and crevice, and they're like, wow. So I don't know. Maybe I won't do that, but no, that's the goal, to get a better phone so they can have better. It'll look better. Thank you, Annie. Nice talking to you. I'm glad you stopped in. Yeah, that's what I do. I film all the way to the end, and then I edit. I got to get better at it, though. I'm trying to add more footage. Have you guys noticed? I try to add more than me just talking. I don't have. I need. See, I'm getting old. I lose words. This is what I was talking about in that video the other night. For my camera. So I have to prop it up on things. I used to, but it broke. I had like a selfie stick, and it broke. So I need to get something like that. So anyway, I can only film myself, once I prop the camera up. But then I have been filming footage around the house, so you can see something besides me. I want you to see my life. I want to share that with you. So I'm trying to get better about filming the yard and the house and stuff like that. I can't film a lot of my family because they're private. They'll let me get bits and pieces of them, and I've done that. But if my husband and I were to travel and go camping and we got something that, we could, got a selfie stick or whatever that we could film with, I think it would be more interesting. So that's the goal. I'm going to work on that. We'll see. Bye, Annie. Are you leaving too, Jody? Or are you just saying bye to Annie? Your daughter has a channel. Well, I want to check it out. Let me know. I'm always looking. I'm always looking to see other people's channels, especially if it's in the area I'm in. I want to see what other people are filming and stuff, because I've run across some gems. YouTube doesn't always promote a lot of these channels. They promote the big ones, Mr. Beast and whatever, but there's a lot of small channels out there that are wonderful. But YouTube, for whatever reason, I don't understand how all that works. The algorithms, a lot of these channels don't get pushed out. And every once in a while, I'll stumble across one. I'll be like, oh my, this is a good one, and I will share them when I find them. Good. Thank you. I'm glad you're staying. Hi, Ball Studio 5. That's a new one. I haven't seen you here before. Thank you, friends. I appreciate that. But like I said, I'm new. I just started doing this. It's been a year and a half, and I just came on just sharing my journey. I just wanted to share and see if there's other people out there that are in the same position. And I just got a very good reception. People were very nice, and people were watching, and my channel just grew, and I've been very fortunate, and I'm very grateful. But I want to be more interesting to my audience, because I think that's a big part of the summer slump. Like I said, people aren't watching right now. Not just me, but a lot of the bigger channels are saying they're going through the same issue. Nobody's watching them in the summer. And so the marketing companies don't use you. So you don't make any money. It goes way down, like a third of what you might make during the year. And so, it's a struggle. That's why I'm doing the sponsored videos. I must have reached a threshold. I must have reached one, because all of a sudden I started getting emails from people that said, hey, we would be a good fit. And I get a ton. And some of it is just garbage. It's like, I'm not promoting you. I don't even believe in your product. I've done 4. I think I've done 4, and I've probably received 50 or more of people that wanted to do collaborations. And it's just like, no, this is terrible. It's got to be something I really believe in, or I think that you guys would benefit from, or that I enjoy. And what I like is, okay, the one that I just did recently with the scooter, they were so cool. They were like, do whatever. They didn't have any rules. They didn't tell me I had to film certain things. They didn't want a real straight, strict schedule. They wanted me to just be like my normal vlog, just share it and talk about it like I would. They didn't want a hard review. I was like, I can do that. So I did, you guys watched it, and I did a short, and I sent it to them to be approved. I didn't even have to do that, but I did. And they just were like, yeah, that's good. And they sent me a link to include in the description, so that if anybody was to order one, I would get a percentage of it. But I don't expect anybody to do that. It helps that you guys just watch them. That helps me. But I did the scooter, I did the e-trike, I did the hydration drinks, and the trampoline. Oh, and I did the treadmill. But that was months ago that I did the treadmill. So anything like that I think is healthy and is good for us as we get older, those are the things I would consider. But I've gotten stuff for like silky pillowcases, or stuff for dogs. I don't have a dog. If I got stuff for cat, well, I don't have a cat I can use right now, but you know what I mean? It's got to be things that I would actually use and I believe in. And I give honest reviews, even like with the hydration drink. I was honest. I told you some of them were terrible. I'm not going to give a phony review just to get paid for it. But most of them don't pay you. Only one has actually paid me over and above giving me the product, which is a lot in itself. That scooter was like $750. But then, sometimes they give you the product and they'll pay between $200 and $300 to make a second video. and all you got to do is 90 seconds of a video, and they'll give you that. So it's been very, very helpful. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Like you said, I try, but I'm not. Um, I don't have an interesting life. I'm 64. What do I do? I don't do anything. I show you guys, when I fail, when my health sucks and I'm going through that. I show you that when I'm trying to get better, what I'm doing. I talk about my financial struggles, and that's not easy to do because, it's embarrassing to share that kind of stuff. But you guys have been very sympathetic. Nobody has, there's once in a while I get people that'll come on and shame me, and obviously I delete their comments. But most people are really nice, and they're like they're rooting for me. They're encouraging me. They want to see where I end up because, like I said, I'm filming this journey as I go along. You guys get to see in real time what's happening in my life. Like last month, I filmed it when I was sick and dying, literally thought I was dying, and I probably was. When you get like that, when your iron levels get that low and you have to go in. But, now I'm better. I told you what I did. I changed my diet. I started taking supplements. I started hydrating, working out. I do the trampoline and walking and stuff like that. And now I feel better, so I don't hide it. I don't pretend, oh, I'm always great and healthy and wonderful, like my weight loss journey. Last year I was doing great. I lost 60 pounds, and I felt better than ever. And then I stopped doing what I was doing, and I'm trying to get back there and do that. I'm working on that. So yeah, that's all I know I can share with you guys. And I talk about my family. I don't talk about deep issues with my family. There's a lot that goes on with the family dynamics behind the scene. I don't share that. I am kind of private in that respect. My friends know, they know my family life, what's going on, but I will never share that because it's not my story to tell, unless it's me personally. But with my kids and my husband stuff, I don't usually talk about that. I did tell you that my brother had stage 4 lymphoma cancer, and he's just as of yesterday, we found out he's in remission. He's been having chemo and he's doing good. So that's amazing to me because I really wasn't feeling good about that. I thought he's 75, stage 4 lymphoma cancer. Come on. I wasn't expecting a lot. So to hear he's in remission is a miracle to me. I'm really happy about that. So yeah, that's kind of stuff you deal with at this age, right? You're probably going to hear more about that kind of stuff. Well, I didn't know what to do either when I first started my channel. Everybody's like, what should I do? Because I get people that ask me all the time. Just share your story, because that's what I did. I just shared my story, and you see if people relate. I came on here, I just talked about what I talk about here, and apparently people could relate to it. I wasn't doing anything great. I wasn't like, oh, I got my fabulous home and I'm decorating it like, some of the people I watch, or I'm traveling in my motor home. I didn't have any of that. It was just me talking about what I was facing, about having to go back to work after being semi-retired. And like I said, people related to it. They asked me to do different things. They've asked me to do like art and stuff, and I've done a few videos on that. Those don't go over very well because it's a very small niche of people that want to watch that. I find more people want to hear about my real day-to-day life. I did a cooking video that flopped. And I actually had fun doing that one, but nobody wanted to see that. I have hobbies, and I try to incorporate them, but for the most part, my videos are just about my journey. So I always tell people, just talk about you, because that's what you know. Talk about what you know. Do you have stories to share? Are you a or survivor of anything? Family dynamics. I love hearing about people that are going through different family issues, and they are honest, and they come on and they share what they're going through. I find those very helpful because I see a lot of people dealing with that kind of stuff. And um, like just Jana, she's got a great channel. You should check her out. And I appreciate people like her that are willing to come online and share their stories. Um, so yeah, there's everybody has something, just figure out what it is that you have that other people would be interested in. Real life instead of reality TV, right? Right, Dana? Yeah. Hi, Sheila. No, I haven't. I haven't, Crazy Cat Lady. But yeah, there's so many different like craft channels. I used to watch craft channels because I like doing crafting, especially with the grandkids. I like watching artsy channels. Um, I don't like the reaction channels. Do you guys ever watch those? I was watching them at first because it's just drama, 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 but they make you feel icky after a while. It's like, oh, these are terrible. What they do is they find a channel and they just shame that person or talk bad about them, and it's like if you don't like that channel, just don't watch them. But they're actually making whole channels just talking bad about other channels, so I don't enjoy that kind of stuff. But I think because there's so much drama, some people like drama, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I watched them too briefly, and I realized this isn't it just doesn't make you feel good. I don't enjoy that kind of stuff. Well, I'll have to check her out. I like watching stuff like that, people making art and stuff. I do like watching that. Um, and cooking, even though I don't cook. But basically, I like watching nomads. I like watching people that are on the road because I want to be on the road and I can't right now. So I enjoy watching them. People that live in different countries or people that are surviving in harsh winter conditions. They're camping in the snow. I like watching that kind of stuff. A lot of them, they don't even talk. You can do a channel without talking. Yeah, I don't like the drama. It's and when you get older, it creates so much anxiety. Thank you. That's the Midwestern in me. That's what I'd like to think. That's the Midwestern. We're not judgmental, and I get judged a lot. I get people that come to my channel and they judge me a lot. I'm always like, really, you feel good about that? Um, I mean, even if you don't agree with me, and I have some of you that will tell me I don't agree with almost anything you talk about, but I like watching you. And I can appreciate that. You don't have to agree with everything I do, but just, be supportive. And I don't know, I like hearing from everybody. Um, oh, yes, I watch her too. Sheila, she's so sweet. And she's real down to earth and she's been through a lot with mental health issues and stuff. Yeah, I like watching her a lot. I love watching independent older women, because even though I'm married and I have a partner, I always think, someday something could happen, god forbid, and I hope it doesn't. But I think, what would I be like, if I was on my own? I've been married for all my life, almost 44 years. I'm barely older than that. No, but that's what it feels like. So I keep thinking, someday in the future, that could be me, and so I have a lot of respect for these women that are independent and doing things on their own. I like watching that. It's encouraging. Um, yeah, especially people that are down to earth. Um, but like I said, there's people expect different things out of channels with women on them than compared to men, and they get a lot more criticism. I don't think the men get criticized as much. At least I don't hear from them that they do. But people like Brie, she's had to put up with a lot of abuse on her channel. The same with Carolyn. I've been fortunate, honestly, because people have been very nice, and I delete the few that aren't because I don't want that negativity. It's hard enough. Life is hard enough. We need to encourage each other. We don't want to, I'm not going to do something and people are just going to come here and berate me. I've seen people that have had channels and literally just stopped because they had to undergo so much abuse on their channel. And it was a shame because I liked their channel, but they got tired of the abuse. And it's like, you got to be strong to do this because you are going to have to put up with, some, like I said, I've been fortunate, been married 40 plus years and separated. Oh, I'm sorry. And I've talked about that too. A lot of people who have been married for years and years and years, like us, um, and get divorced or separated later on in life. Um, I've had videos where I talked about how it's beneficial to separate from that person because they could be toxic or whatever, but financially you stay married on paper because it's beneficial as far as finances. Not always, but there are cases um, where people ended up just living in the same household, but they're just roommates rather than get divorced. I've talked about that. Or sleeping in separate rooms. You know, my husband and I have done that for years, just because he has restless leg syndrome. It's like an earthquake at night when he gets that. It's not his fault, and he used to get upset with me because, well, we both snore. I don't snore as much now when I changed my diet. But, and I thought, hey, we've got all these extra bedrooms. Nobody else lives here anymore. Maybe. And so I did. I started sleeping in another room. And it was nice for the fact that I can stay up. I'm a night owl and I can stay on my laptop and it doesn't bother him. On the weekends, he stays up way later than me, and he watches TV and it's on and he likes watching music videos and stuff. And I'd be like, oh my God. So, yeah, when I did a video on that about how we ended up sleeping in separate rooms. And oh my God, that was the worst thing ever for married couples. And it's like, we still see each other. It's not like, I'm just talking about sleeping. It's okay to sleep in different rooms. As a matter of fact, I know young couples that do that. And then later on, I found out that my brothers all did that. They all admitted to, once the kids left home, they all had their own bedrooms because, why not? It's the fear of the unknown. But yes, we are still married because of, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a personal thing. You do what works best for you. Right? And that's why I think a lot of people like having separate rooms, usually one or the other snores. And, like I said, I did a video on it and it got mixed reception. Some people just thought it was the worst thing ever. And I thought, well, we've been doing it for years and we're still married. We still like each other. So, they acted like that was going to be the end of our marriage. It's like, well, I guess it just depends what your marriage is based on. Right? That's what I was like, my God, every night that restless leg syndrome, like I said, and he can't help it, and the snoring, I would be shoving him and he would get irritated. It's like, because he couldn't hear himself, he's sleeping. So he would get frustrated with me. I'd be like, quit it, roll over. So we didn't have to worry about that. But now it's summer, so we're back in the same room because, like I said, I've got the kids are here all the time, at least 4 nights a week minimum. The grandkids are here. We might have a couple nights, but sometimes we don't even get that. Sometimes the other ones are here. So I moved back in the room. Plus, another reason I wasn't in the room was because I told you, well, you saw the mess. That was all on my side of the room. I could barely climb over it to get into my side of the bed. So, yeah, now that I cleaned it up, I like it. I like being in there more. Right? You get along better. Baby snort can be cute. Yeah, right. I wish it was that way for the rest of the world. Hi, Evie. Good to hear from you. Thank you for coming. But yeah, I mean, and see, that's what I mean about I overshare. I probably talk about things maybe I shouldn't, but I have found by sharing these things that I'm not alone. There's a lot of other people out there that feel the same way I do. I may not be typical or the norm, but there's a lot of us out there. We're not alone, and it's okay. It's okay to be different. Right? It doesn't mean we don't love each other. It just means we like sleep. And he gets up at 3 a.m. to go to work. Sometimes I'm just going to bed around that time. It just works out better. We have our own thing. We both do our own thing. We live in the same house. We see each other. We spend a lot of time together, but we do different things. Obviously, I do YouTube and I can film whenever I want. And I've gotten up at midnight and filmed a video. I couldn't do that in the room with him. You know, we do different things. And actually it's more fun now because I feel like we're a little more independent. We used to have to follow certain structured guidelines. This is what you do when you're a married couple. But now that we realize, you know what, our marriage is personal for us. We do what works best for us. And this is what works for us. But my mom, if she was alive, there's more of us than you realize. I think you're right, you know. But then you watch all these videos of people that are perfect and you think, maybe I shouldn't say anything. And then once in a while, you also hear from people that think you're awful, because people have no problem passing judgment online because it's anonymous. So they can say whatever rude, terrible thing, because you wouldn't talk that way in real life, face to face. You would never say the things that some people will say to you online. And that's how I look at it. It doesn't matter because I don't know these people. They're anonymous. I don't know what kind of life they lead. So it doesn't bother me anymore. It did when I first started. Then you get used to it. And now it's like, yeah, it's whatever. Right? When you have different interests, it makes you more interesting. You have things to share. We're not, with each other all the time. We have different lives. We have things to share with each other, stories and stuff. And, we still do a lot of things together. Right? Whatever happened to being tolerant and acceptable, and having manners, just being polite, being nice. You don't have to agree with everybody to like them. You know, I have friends that are totally different than me. Um, but I still enjoy them for other things. I don't have to agree with everything you do. You know, I feel like I don't know. We either become more tolerant in our old age or less. I feel fortunate. I've become more tolerant. Yeah, with respect. People just don't respect people anymore, but they can't imagine life without each other. Right, right. Crazy cat lady. Everybody's different. Relationships are different. Um, Things have just changed through the years, and it's for good and bad. But we used to think that all marriages had to be a certain way, all relationships. And that was one thing when my husband and I were young, we did go to a marriage counselor and they let us know that, marriage is a very personal thing. It has to be what you guys want from each other, has to be between you two. We were trying to follow what we thought we were supposed to do. He thought he was supposed to behave like his father. I thought I was supposed to behave like my mother. And yet my mother and his father would have never gotten together. But that was what we knew of marriage, is what we seen growing up. This is how the woman acts. This is how the man acts. And that wasn't working for us. Neither one of us was happy with those roles. And then when we realized that's not what either one of us wanted, we weren't looking for that. We wanted, our friend, the person that we fell in love with. I didn't have any expectations that he was going to be like my dad, and he didn't want me to be like his mom. I know, I agree. And that's why I said, when I got this epiphany today, where I thought, you know what, I'm not going to focus that on anymore because I see it so much. I'm going to focus on the fact that maybe there's going to be something's going to happen and people are going to make the changes. Things will get better because I don't want them to get worse. I know you guys don't want them to get worse. I don't want to see my kids or grandkids, live in that kind of world. So my hopes are up that we can make a better world. It can. Why can't it? Why can't it get better? It's only bad because we allowed this to happen. But I think people are waking up to it and we're realizing this is nobody wants this. People keep saying that we need to go back to the way this was or that was. No, there might be some good things from the past, but not all the things from the past. So let's take the good things from that time and the good things from this time, and let's build on them and just make things better and better. Um, that's what I'd like to see happen. Yeah, all we can do is, raise our kids. And my kids are that way. I'm so proud of them. My kids are very loving, very non-judgmental. Um, and they're raising their kids that way. And I hear that a lot. People are always astounded by how um, kind my kids are, my grandkids especially. They're really good. And the funny thing is, my kids aren't heavy disciplinarians, and neither was I. But I was raised in that type of household, and I decided not to be that way. I realized you can. There's a difference between disciplining and punishing, and you can discipline your kids with love. That should be the first thing that comes into it. The reason you're disciplining them is out of love, not anger, not punishment, but by loving them. And I when my kids were growing up, like when they were in high school, rather than just restrict them for certain things, I would have them write book reports. I had my son read the Four Agreements, and then I wanted him not to just fake that he read it, so that I knew he read it. I had him write a book report and talk to me, and to see that he understood what that was about, because I think that was very important for him at that time. I wanted him to learn to be impeccable with his word, and to be a better person. And I think it worked because he's a beautiful person. He's just oh, he's got such a good heart, especially with kids. I love that. I know there's nothing wrong with respectfully disagreeing. And like I said, some of you have told me that you may disagree with the things I said, but you still like being here. And that made me happy. I like knowing that. And we can tell people that, especially if you love them, you should be able to say, no, I don't agree with that, but it doesn't mean I hate you. And that was something I had to learn on my own, because my mom, bless her heart, and I love my mom, I don't like saying anything bad about my mom, but my mom was very immature emotionally because of the way she was raised. And when she would get angry, she would hate you for that period of time. When she was mad at you, she didn't even want to talk to you. And that was hurtful as a child. When my mom would get upset, she'd get that angry, but then she'd get over it pretty quickly. But I watched that as a child, and I thought, I don't want to be like that with my kids. And I tell them all the time, I can be mad at you and still love you. I don't hate you just because I'm mad at you. And I wanted them to know that. And they're that way with their kids too. And they let them know when they are disciplining them, it's not because I'm angry at you, it's because I want you to do better, you know and it just makes me proud when I see them doing this with their kids, and seeing the type of people that they're turning out to be. They're good kids. And like I said, I don't want to go on and on about it, but they're good human beings, and that means a lot to me. Yeah, my parents thought different than I did too. Right, Sheila? I agree with that. Right? And that's all we want. We want peace, and for everybody to get along and to love each other and to just treat each other with respect and kindness. I hate not seeing that. That's why I love going to the Midwest. Everybody back there is always so friendly, so nice. California people aren't known for that. And I don't think it's necessarily that they're not nice, but people are so afraid of being rejected. So rather than just pouring your heart out and opening up to strangers, people are kind of closed off. And I think they put up these walls because I know when I go out and I'm in public, I'm nice to everybody. I smile at everybody, and so everybody's always nice to me. So I'm always surprised when I hear everybody say, "Oh, everybody's so cold these days." It's like I think if you're cold, they're going to be cold back. So I try to be kind to everybody. I smile, and it seems like people receive that really well. Yeah, I think so. It's the Midwestern in you, Sheila. Yeah, I see that too, Simply Blue. I just, and I don't like to overstep my bounds and tell other people this is how you should discipline your kids, or you know what I mean? But I think a lot of us, especially in my generation, our parents were different back then. They did there was more strict discipline, and so a lot of people think that was a good thing, but it wasn't necessarily a good thing. Um, a lot of it bordered on abuse. A lot of it was abusive back then, things that they were allowed to do. Now, I don't think that, everything now is abusive. Everybody's like, oh, if you raise your voice at your kids, you're being abusive. Um, Things have gone too far the other way. And I think that kids do need structure and they do need boundaries because that's a loving thing to do for them. And when they don't get that, they're left to their own devices. They don't know, they need guidance. Yeah, and I know my parents weren't always in agreement to how to discipline because my stepdad who raised us had like five or six brothers and one sister. So they grew up with all boys and they were disciplined very harshly. As a matter of fact, my dad always said they were abused because they were beat. And he had a tendency to be overbearing that way, where my mom would have to step in and let him know, no, this is above and beyond. And so we do have some issues from that. But as we grew up, he mellowed. He was different as we got older. He realized, but he was young too. He was a young parent, and but I still felt that he loved us. And I think that's the main thing. You have to love your kids. Well, you guys, I have just rambled on, but I like having you guys here. It's always so nice to check in with everybody and see what you guys are doing. The main thing was I was going to address my last video because, like I said, I've got some comments about it. I wasn't advocating for people to use a mobility scooter, especially if you're healthy and able bodied. I'm just saying if the time comes and it's a choice between getting something like a mobility scooter or some kind of assistance or just staying in your house because you don't want to look old, I think you might want to reconsider it. It would give you your life back, because like I said, I have friends that they are very limited on what they can and can't do, but they refuse to, use a mobility scooter because it will make them look old. And it's like, that's not what makes you look old, and so I was just saying that, but maybe I didn't articulate it as well as I should. I gave the wrong opinion and I didn't purchase one. That's not, that was a sponsored deal. And so I was just sharing my thoughts on it. And I think at some point, if I got to the point where I couldn't get around, yeah, I would consider using one. Right now, we're using it for fun. My grandkids use it to race. They race each other on the e-trike and the mobility scooter. So they're toys for us. And my daughter-in-law was like, "Are you sure you want to get rid of this?" Because I said, "I'll probably sell it," because she remembers when I had my knee injury, I did not get around very well. Luckily, I healed. I had physical therapy, but it would have been beneficial because there was a lot of places I didn't get to go because I couldn't walk as much, until my knee healed. I would have done more damage. So it was just my ego got in the way. It is a small world, huh? It's crazy. I'm always running into people from Omaha. I see them online or back there. But yeah, it's a small world. We always think it's so big. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you guys so much. You really helped me get through this summer slump. Thank you for watching my videos. It helps so much when you guys just like them, comment, hype them when you can. It helps me so much, you guys. And hopefully in the fall things will pick up and things will be going better. But for right now, I really need this. Oh, really? It folds up? Yeah, this one is heavy too. It's not as heavy as the E-Trike, but it is heavy. But I guess there's different ones. There's the kind that fold up real easy. I was telling my husband with this one, you'd have to have like a little trailer or something that you could put it on the back. I mean, I can lift it. I'm strong, but yeah, if I was older and had health issues, I probably couldn't. But it definitely would be very helpful for a lot of people. I'm just saying that, don't use them if you don't need it. Don't just use it to be lazy. Like, who was it you guys were talking about? There's a channel where this one lady started using one and she just got to the point where now she can't even walk. She didn't need it. It was just helping her out because she was very overweight, and this was not the wisest choice for her. This would be good for somebody that has limited mobility. That's all. But otherwise, no, I don't recommend that everybody rides around on scooters. We don't live in idiocracy where everybody's just going to be super lazy and unhealthy. I don't want that. So anyway, again, I appreciate you guys all so much. Thank you for all you guys do. You help me more than you know, especially the comments, the sense of community that you guys talk to each other. I appreciate you guys, and for the advice that you give me, and for just being kind. You guys are always so kind, and that means a lot. It's very helpful for me when I'm feeling down and I go online and I read your comments. It really affects me sometimes. So thank you. I appreciate that. So if you got here late, I'm sorry, but thank you for all of you that have stayed for so long. I know it's late. It's 2 hours later everywhere else. I'm in California, and it's after 5. We talked for over 2 hours. That's a long time. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks again. Love you guys, and I'll see you online in the next video. If I can get out. I do this every time. I think one time I ended it and then I couldn't even, I was just talking or whatever, and you guys are staying here and you're like, you're still here. I was like, what? Okay, this should end it. We'll see.